Now I know what you're thinking. Scranton, Pennsylvania? It's not a large city. But it's the Electric City. And it's known for strong family ties. And really, Scranton is, despite the size, no stranger to greatness. So I thought it was worth a closer look. Let's dive in, folks. And maybe you're wondering, as I'm wondering, where could Scranton, Pennsylvania be? Let's zoom in and have a look. Is it going to pop up? Scranton. There. Scranton, PA. Philadelphia, New York. And working our way up to the Great Lakes, Buffalo, Finger Lakes. So somewhere in between we have Scranton, Pennsylvania. By no means a large city. You can see here in the modern day we're not quite at 80,000. And when we look at 1900, and very interesting to note that 20,000 more people plus in Scranton at the turn of the century than modern day. And so we begin our stroll through Old World Scranton, Pennsylvania. Here we have a nice street scene to kick off the file. Very typical Old World looking street scene with the arched windows. Looking a little more built out at this angle, you can see the ornamentation, Old World ornamentation that we're used to seeing. No shortage of that here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. We're looking at the old courthouse. We'll take a better look at that as we move forward. We're looking like the main square in the city. Of course, you locals can always add your texture and flavor to the comment section. I always appreciate it. And then this would be where you go when you have no friends. The home of the friendless. Yet another street scene. And some interesting, how shall we say, brickwork, blockwork, as we're going to see in the Scranton area. Perhaps providing us evidence of potential cataclysm and the remains of the cataclysm, I suppose I could say. We have the Albright Public Library, now a part of the university there, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, again, locals that know. This is looking quite old. Feeling a bit like maybe Spain, somewhere between Spain and an England feel here. The Spanish style clay roof. We have an armory, of course, looking like a castle. Ticking the boxes of the old world construction. Very well intact, even in the modern day. Found an old postcard of one of the old Luna Parks. In Scranton they had one. I know I did a video on the Luna Parks. And these were really all across the realm and going on at the turn of the last century. So Scranton having its own place for festivities that they called the Luna Park. I suggest in that video that the Luna Parks were potentially used for the resetting of the narrative. Luna being the moon, and they get into a lot of moon travel, journey to the moon. You'll have to check out the video if you're interested. Somewhere back in my catalog. I'll link it as well. Looking like a hospital here. Could easily have been a courthouse, but they had one of those, so it had to be something else. First Presbyterian Church, looking like a Gothic castle, as the first Presbyterians liked to do. Another church, and you will see a lot of churches here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. St. Peter's Cathedral having that heavy Catholic theme. Stone. Look at all the stone structures with the archways. All indicative of Old World construction. Second Presbyterian. I'm not sure what this is. Bliss Park Church, Methodist Episcopal, looking like. Doesn't really matter. I think the denominations were handed out like cards from a deck of cards. That's how I feel about it. I don't think they built these structures. They found them. The old City Hall. Remember I mentioned how the hospital could have been a city hall or a courthouse? Here's the City Hall. They already had one of those. Really amazing with its cymatic style window. Not quite a clock here. Reminding me of the Grundy County Courthouse, actually. Did a recent video. Talked to Jon Butler, a new friend of mine, who's wrote a book on his local courthouse. So I suggest you check that out as well. And buy the book if you're interested in the old world. Or if you know someone who is. Here we look at the City Hall in the modern day. You can see the pink granite columns indicative of the old world architecture of the time. And the thick stone, either veneer or stone construction. And very likely these old world structures were put together with a different type of concrete than we're used to using these days. Something a little closer to what we might call Roman concrete. What I suggest is probably all part of the same thing. This is the courthouse. And if we look it up, historians will tell us that this was built in 1884, just built in 1884, not over several years, but then it was enlarged in 1896. So make what you will of that. I have good reason to question these timelines, and that's what I do on this channel. Here we have the modern day version of this courthouse, so you can see what's going on here. A little bit of a decapitation. Shortening of the peak, as you do. So, nothing new there. Now this is part of what I was talking about with almost like the megalithic looking block work here. This is the dam nearby. Take a closer look. And you can see the size of the block work. This reminding me of places I've walked in Victoria, British Columbia, down by the harbour front, with the really large block work. This is looking very, very old and very, very well built. And this part of the dam actually to me is a real dead giveaway that something's not right about the historical narrative. This is looking like it's firmly affixed and a part of the area and has been for a long time. I'm getting a better look. It's nice with the steam engine in there too. Sets the mood for the old world. You can see again the stonework, the terracing of the blockwork. Really has to make you scratch your head a little bit as to who was putting this stuff together in the 1800s. I mean, is this matching up with the timeline of the canals? Because we know that there's a lot of problems with the historical narrative surrounding those as well. A couple inheritors here standing on the steps. Lake Scranton Gatehouse. And an old postcard again with those tracks coming from the other side of the dam. And this type of stuff really catches my eye when I'm looking through this, doing this old world research. You can see again the size of the blockwork. It's just immense, really. And in Scranton, Pennsylvania, they like to build their schools like castles as well. Nice cupola with the flag on top. Worked right into the tile work again on the roof. This is really impeccable quality building going on here with this structure. Absolutely impeccable. Another look at that armory. Get it from this angle. We can see a bit of a mud flood action going up the street here. Potential regrading of the realm having gone on. Park Church, Elm Park Church. You can see the pattern on the roof here. Just a hint of a pattern, it looks like. And a quick look at the interior just to show you the pipe organ. and the way everything was situated in here. This is a serious undertaking to build anything like this, really. Nice crisp photograph we can zoom in on here. Taking a look at what Scranton, Pennsylvania has to offer us by way of the old world. And what, of course, will be pawned off as old North America and justified as the reason why these things were built in the way they were, but I think we know better. Do a little bit of research on, and the whole bottom falls out of this this stuff. The Hotel German, I believe. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Postcard, not looking like too much. You got a little bit of detail here, and then we have a wonderful photograph from a viewer. Mark actually did some boots on the ground and sent me some of these newer photographs. So here's a look at the Hotel German modern day, just to show you the type of detail that we get, as opposed to a postcard, which isn't really showing us that. We see a lot of postcards on this channel, but not a lot of photographs. And I believe they're calling these the iron furnaces. So this is more of Mark's boots on the ground photographs. We'll see some more of these. The blockwork really starts to become difficult to discern between what looks like melted or what possibly is what we might call rock, and then we have some brick as well in the archway. So very interesting structure. Here we're looking at Lackawanna College. And then a modern day look at that library we saw. Part of this Lackawanna College now, like I mentioned in the beginning. I like this with the two eagles surrounding the clock. You have to wonder now, was this always a clock? Was there some sort of cymatic window type of opening going on there? Of course, Scranton not without its Masonic Temple. And we are given a construction photograph of the Masonic Temple with that all too familiar writing we get on many of these construction photographs. So make of that what you will. A bit of a closer look now. The immense blockwork. It's one thing these construction photographs do. They really make it look like a sloppy construction process. And then you get to a final product like this, and you have to really question whether any part of the process was sloppy at all. It just seems so well put together. And they give us the one or two construction photographs, and that's supposed to be enough to whet our appetites, I suppose, or to satiate our appetites, if I'm saying that right. But we want more. Us in this research, we want more, and we're digging sort of beneath the surface of this surface layer explanation of history. You have the interior looking like this. The spectacular ceiling, all part of that Masonic Hall. This is the type of finishing that went on. In 1928 to 1930, Wikipedia will tell us, right in that Great Depression, they still had the ability apparently to see it through to completion in that time period. There's a nice look at that dam again for you. This is the old passenger station. You can see blockwork here down on the embankment, looking like very muddy looking here. Looking half buried, maybe. Something interesting about that. Nice looking post office too. Nice old worlder, a beauty. Really, this is a beauty. Long gone now. Spectacular building. That's where they put the letters for the post. And a prep school, looking like a castle. There's a prison covered in Ivy looking very old. And that's how it looks in the modern day. You can again see that impeccable stonework, coupled with that sort of concrete molding around the openings or along the tops. This is just how they built prisons at the time, we'll be told. So more around the ironworks now, again coming from Mark's boots on the ground, giving us a really, really nice look at the megalithic blockwork. Check the size of this one out. If I were to guess, that looks like it's 5-6 feet long. Very, very large stonework here. Interesting. Iron furnaces. And some more of that for you. There's that same stone. You can see that. You can see how large they are all along the bottom. So what are we to believe, really? There was a certain amount of manpower involved with creating these canals. I'm sure everyone was in abject poverty, everyone who worked on it, they'll tell us. But they'll explain it away as the result of almost slave labor, right? Near poverty. I don't believe that narrative. I think we're looking at an inherited old world infrastructure. And I think that much of this was here. A massive blockwork again. And here we're getting to a corner of that ironworks where it really is showing us that what it looks to me to be melted blockwork. You can still see what looked like the blockwork that's going on up here in this. Now they'll tell us that this is just the bedrock in the area and they built over top of that. But I think we know better. And you can see the changing states of matter that have gone on here in this area. So some sort of electrical force, some sort of electrical heat, changing the very nature of matter itself during some sort of cataclysm that took place. I don't think any further back than 500 years, to be honest with you. I really can't say when. But the realm undergoing some serious, serious damage in that process. And leaving behind very difficult to explain pieces of evidence. And here's another really good one. You can see where the massive blockwork turns into brick. Turns into... I don't even know what you want to call that. All very interesting visuals being provided here. This is fantastic. You can see the shapes of the blocks here sort of melting down into, or oozing down. You can see here as well, flattening. What do you think? Not everybody's on board with this hypothesis. What do you think about the circuit board Earth being fried? Do you think that's a possibility, or do you think we're way off and the geologists have it right on the button? What do you think? It's a very interesting detail walking the streets of Scranton. See some faces just barely made out here. Very old world Romanesque looking. Or Roman looking, I suppose. Not to be confused with Richardsonian Romanesque. There it is again, that German building with its beautiful detail out front. And of course, a below ground entrance. You can see blockwork down here as well. Coming to the end of the file, what's your take on Scranton? Have you ever been there? Do you have any stories to share? I'd like to take you to different places across mostly North America. I have promised to venture out beyond North America, but I haven't done so yet. Just seems to be keeping me planted on the continent for some reason. Always the YMCA at the end of our files. There we have Scranton, 1900, 100,000 people, they'll tell us. And you can see the infrastructure here. Very, very well established, looking very, very beautiful and ornate. And this is a construction photo. So we'll end the file with this. Scranton, Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining me on this exploration. Stay tuned for the next one. Until next time.